Hey YouTube, as you've seen from my other videos, I really love the outdoors. We went and bought that camp-in teardrop trailer. We absolutely love that. We use it all the time. If you've seen my other videos, you saw that a few years ago I went and bought a Yamaha WR250F, did some tweaks and mods and stuff on that. Absolutely love that bike. But it was something that, my wife couldn't do with me. And I was really looking for something that she and I could do together. And so a few weeks ago I decided to sell the bike and get something that her and I can do together out in the outdoors. And so I went and bought a side-by-side. So I'm going to do a walk around here of the new side-by-side, kind of walk through what it is, why we bought it, why I got this particular model as opposed to all the different models out there. So let's take a look. Okay, so this is the machine I replaced my dirt bike with. This is the Yamaha YXZ 1000r SS SE, which stands for Sport Shift Special Edition. This is essentially a side-by-side, also known as a UTV, a Class 4 ATV, or an ORV, off-road recreational vehicle. This is similar to other side-by-sides in the market from Polaris, Arctic Cat, Can-Am. They all make various side-by-sides, and this is Yamaha's version of it. Now, what starts to separate the Yamaha from the other UTVs on the market is that Yamaha actually introduced this in 2016, and it actually has a transmission like you would find on a car or a motorcycle. And so it's a sequential shift transmission in the standard edition, and a paddle shift transmission. Well, the transmission's really the same in between them. It's just one has an auto clutch, the other one actually has a clutch pedal. Where the Polarises and the other side-by-sides on the market all run what they call a CVT drive system, and which is basically a belt drive instead of a transmission with a shaft drive and a shifter. So I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. Let's take another walk around this machine so I can kind of point out some of the specific features of this machine. So Yamaha has essentially two different models of this machine, and I already kind of talked about that just a second ago, in that they've got a standard shift model which has a clutch pedal, so a 3-pedal system. So down here you would normally see a gas, brake, and clutch, just like you would on a car. And then this knob here would be a shifter, a sequential shift knob for shifting the gears. Then they've also got this version, which is the paddle shift version. So you've got a downshift and upshift paddle right there, with no clutch pedal. And so it has an auto clutch. And so it's similar to the technology that you'd find in F1 cars and stuff now that are all paddle shift driven. At the core of this machine is a 998 cubic centimeter 3-cylinder engine. It's the only side-by-side with a 3-cylinder engine in market, and it's a beefy power plant. Now, Yamaha does not offer a factory turbo model yet. There's rumors that that's coming next year. But there are aftermarket turbos you can put on these things, where you can take this thing from being, oh my god, this thing's a blast to drive, to, oh my god, I'm approaching the speed of light. Crazy fast. Out of the box, I've seen some videos of guys doing 90 miles an hour in this thing, which is already crazy fast. With the turbo, I have no idea what the top end speeds look like. But this thing, you know, really does scream. It seems that Yamaha's design philosophy behind this thing was to make this just an absolutely killer race platform. This is a, you know, pure sport machine. You know, there is very little utilitarian function about it. This thing was designed to go fast. The motor loves to rev high. It revs it redlines at 10,500 RPM. And so this thing just loves to just cut loose and go fast. So, you know, if you're looking for, you know, a trail crawler, something that, you know, you got a beer in one hand and just like to go out for a leisure drive and you know, crawl around through the trails and stuff, you know, as this thing is configured, it's probably not the right machine for that. The gearing and stuff on the transmission's a little high, so it really likes to go fast. It's not really designed to go slow. There are some companies like TubeWorks that do a aftermarket gear reduction kit for this thing. Yamaha actually has a gear reduction kit so that you can make it much more trail friendly, you know, so that it can be a little bit more of a leisurely cruiser. You know, that's probably one of the biggest, I guess, drawbacks to this machine, is that it's really purpose-built, and it's not necessarily a good all-around machine, where I think the Polaris is probably a little bit better all-around machine. But, you know, there are some very specific reasons why I chose this machine over Polaris. I was actually looking at the CVT systems from Polaris and Can-Am, and I actually chose this for some very specific reasons, which I'll get to in just a minute. Let's talk about the overall suspension and everything of this machine. So as I said, this is a special edition version. So the standard edition versions come in I think 3 color schemes. There's a blue and white, a orange and black, and a yellow and black model, or maybe it's yellow and white. But there's essentially three color schemes. This being the special edition has you know, this matte black and red color scheme to it, which I think is, you know, really striking. But it doesn't make you go any faster. You know, it's just a nice looking machine. But the other things that start to separate it, the standard editions have a Fox shock and suspension package on them, which is really nice, but it's you know, a little bit on the stiff side. You can adjust them and soften them up. But what Yamaha did with the special edition version is they went with a dual rake spring setup in front and back, and so that's these guys right here. So you'll see there's actually 2 springs on this thing. There is a soft spring right here and a thicker stiff spring back here. And so the way that works is, as you're driving slow and hitting bumps, being a softer spring, this will, you know, engage first and soak up those small bumps without you know, creating a you know, stiff ride. So it's you know, it's a little bit softer on the slow speed terrain when you're hitting bumps. You know, because you imagine, right, if all you had was the thick spring, this thing, it takes a lot of force to move or compress this spring, and so as you're going over slow speed bumps, you're not, you know, this thing is just riding real stiff over it. So that's why they've got this top spring on here to soak up those small low speed bumps. Then when you hit the bigger whoops and the jumps and stuff like that, the heavier spring engages, so it really starts to soak up those bigger bumps. So that's kind of the advantages of a dual rate spring setup, and that's something that they offer on the special editions that they do not offer on the standard edition. The other thing they offer on the special editions is this special shock package. This is the Fox 2.5 X2 podium shock. And so the way that works is, let's go over here to the front. You'll see that on the top of the shock you've got dual adjustments. So on the right with the blue is the high speed and low speed compression adjustment. And so you can set how the shock reacts, how fast the shock compresses when you're going slow as well as when you're going fast. And then on the left you've got the red, and that's your high speed and low speed rebound. And so you can set up the rebound as well, and how fast the shock pushes back out for both low speed and high speed. And so when you think about the possibilities, you can really fine-tune the ride in this thing, because not only do you have the high speed and low speed compression that you can set and adjust, but you've also got the dual rate springs that you can adjust, right? Because you've got your crossover rings here and your crossover collar, and so you can change when each of these shocks engage. And so you get a lot of really fine-tuning capabilities out of these shocks on this thing. So the suspension on this thing is really nice. The other thing that you get with the special editions is you get these beadlock tires all the way around. And so what that is you've got these bolts right here, and what they do is they clamp the edge of the tire, or the bead of the tire. And so why that's important is if you're tearing through some off-road, hitting rocks or hitting corners hard and stuff like that, what can happen is you can what's called break the bead, where the tire pops off the rim and you essentially get a flat. With the beadlock tires, the way it grabs that edge of the tire, it keeps that from happening, or prevents that from happening. And so it's a really nice touch to have on an off-road vehicle. So that's something else that's unique about the special editions that you don't find on the standard edition. So overall, it's a very nice machine. The price difference between a standard edition and a special edition's, I don't know, probably a couple $1,000s. And so, but for that couple $1,000s, you get the beadlock, you get the better, you get the better shocks and dual rate springs, and then you get this, striking color scheme. So that's the primary difference between the special editions and the standard editions. And then, as I said, with the 2017s, you get the option with the Sport Shift model as well. So it's got some really nice features from that. Now, as I said, I chose this machine specifically for a couple of different reasons over the Polarises and stuff. And it's not that I think the Polaris is a bad machine. I don't. I test drove one, and it was very nice, very fast. Had a very plush ride. But I really wanted the transmission on this thing. I've coming from riding dirt bikes for years and years, driving almost every car I've owned has been a manual shift car, and so I really wanted something with that standard transmission and not a CVT. And the reason for that is because, for me, having that transmission it just connects you so much more to the overall driving experience. You're in control of the power band. You can choose which gear you want to be in when you want to be in that gear. So if you hit a corner hard and you want to be in the power band coming out of that corner, you have control over that. And so to me, it just connects you to the overall driving experience so much more. I like to drive fast. That's why I bought my Honda S2000. That's why I've ridden dirt bikes. It's the way, the way I like to, drive my machine. So this just felt like it was much more suited to what I was looking for in a side-by-side experience. So, as I said, if the all-around machine is what you're looking for, the Polaris is probably, or the Wildcats or the Can-Ams are probably, a little bit better suited for the overall, just kind of general purpose, machine. If you're looking for something that's, pure performance, this is probably a little bit better suited for that. Especially if you like me and enjoy shifting and being connected to that driver experience. So the reason why I chose this over the Standard edition, couple of things. One is, the better shocks and the beadlock tires and everything just seemed well worth it, because the shocks alone, to upgrade to those shocks would have been, probably close to $1,000 by itself. The beadlock tires over the traditional, that's probably another close to $1,000. So you can get there by spending extra money with a standard edition, but why not get it straight from the factory that way? So that's part of the reason why I chose that. The reason why I chose the sport shift model as opposed to the standard shift model was, if it were just me driving this thing, I would have went with the standard shift model in a heartbeat, because I really like working gears and stuff. But knowing that my wife is going to be driving this thing, and trying to work a clutch, she knows how to drive a manual transmission just fine. She drives my S2000 on all the time, she's got a bad knee, and so working a clutch pedal isn't necessarily great for her knee. So this seemed like a nice compromise to be able to get the manual transmission through the sport shift, so you can still control the gears, but you don't have to work a clutch pedal. So it was a good compromise, so that she can enjoy driving it as well as I do. So talk a little bit more about the kind of capabilities. Here's the cargo area. You can see there's no tailgate or anything on there, but there are tie down points, so you can tie down coolers and stuff like that. They do make a cargo box that fits back here. They make a tailgate that fits back here. There's a spare tire rack that you can get that fits back here. All sorts of different accessories available for this thing. Let's take a look at the interior here. You can see you've got down here, you've got your lights, low beam, high beam, and then right here you've got your two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, and diff lock. On your shifter, you've got your drive is up, reverse is down, and neutral is just straight back. As I said, you got your paddle shift here. Let's turn the key on. You can see the dash readout. So basically, this is very similar to your trail. Let me start this up. You've got your basic trail computer like on your bikes. So you've got your miles per hour, which gear you're in. Got your clock. You've also got your odometers, your timer. You got your voltage meter. You've got your coolant temperature there. You've got your gas gauge. And then on the top you've got your shift light. So it's a standard sort of instrument cluster package. No horns, no blinkers or anything like that. It's an off-road vehicle. You can make, in some places you can make these street legal in certain areas, where by adding things like blinkers and a windshield and a horn and stuff, you can take it on some street places. I know like Texas doesn't allow you to do it, but here in Washington there are certain cities on the where a lot of the trailheads are, where they'll allow you to take it on roads under 35 miles an hour, so you can pull it into gas stations, all that kind of stuff. So that's your standard instrument cluster package. You'll see that it uses a standard lap belt and shoulder belt 3-point system. To me, not the greatest restraint system available, especially in a side-by-side, so I will be replacing that with a 4-point harness system. I'm going to actually probably be doing that later today, and we'll document that process so you can see how to install a 4-point system. I'll be doing various modifications and upgrades to this as we go along, and so I will capture all of that. Some of the drawbacks, as I said, you know, the transmission's not necessarily the greatest thing on this thing as far as, you know, crawling. So, you know, at some point I'll probably do a gear reduction, just make it a little bit more universal so I can go, you know, easily go on trails as well as high-speed desert stuff. So, you know, there you go. There's your overview. If you have any questions, comments, or you want to see something in more detail, let me know. I'm happy to cover all of that and answer any questions you might have. Thanks. Peace out.